Oh, good, that works. Well, hello, and welcome to Glue Wednesday. Glue, G-L-U-E, God's love undoes everything. Not that it will tear things apart, but that we have to look at Wednesday as the middle of a traditional 7-day week that keeps the weekend and the week beginning together, and thus the glue. Haas, first person to join me. Thank you, my brother. Good to see you. All right. Wait, the funny thing is I had a conversation with a professor. Oh, that's nice. You got the Statue of Liberty as your profile picture now. Nice. And Jane. Family's here. All right. Y'all too. I love y'all. Oh, we on a roll. Hey, look, last night I went to an event where I was speaking. Hey, Cuz Todd. I went to an event where I was speaking with one of the professors who teaches a leadership class. Oh God, what did I start to tell you? Oh my goodness. Oh well, there that goes. It has something to do with Haas. Oh man. Oh God. Oh, hey Royce. Hey Deborah. Oh well, we got a good group here. Oh my God, what was it? It was something that you made me think of in terms of me talking to this professor last night who teaches kids about leadership, and it's a potential speaking engagement for me. But it'll come to me. So when it comes to me, I'll bring that back up. I was just so excited to see all of your faces and names in here. But let me tell you about our topic today. First of all, the reason I've chosen this topic, pain, I'm dedicating it. You can see my t-shirt that says play. And so I'm kind of dedicating it to, there's a group that I belong with, I'm a member of an organization called AATH. And then I didn't say, hey, Royce, but hey. And Deb, love you too, miss you. There's an association I belong to called AATH, which is the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor. And what we do is we study the use of healthy humor, and we believe in the healing power of laughter. That's the short introduction, and I invite you to check out their website. There's also a Facebook page on it as well. As you can see, play, the highest form of research. But this is from our conference in 2017. But anyway, the reason I decided to do that, to kind of dedicate it to them, is because in next week's, our upcoming issue of our newsletter is going to be dedicated to chronic pain. And I edit the newsletter. And so as I was editing it and reading some stuff, it made this topic come to mind, pain of my acronym, People Anchored in Negativity. But I also wanted to give just a little bit of that serious side of chronic pain to roll into what I'm talking about as well. So let me say that chronic pain affects more people in the United States than diabetes, coronary heart disease, and cancer added together. 50 million people are affected by chronic pain. That's 1 in 5. And chronic pain is defined as pain that lasts 3 or more months longer than the expected recovery pain, the expected recovery period. So, excuse me. So chronic pain. Chronic pain is it's not like right now. I was actually kind of glad to read that because my wrist has been, had this pain in this wrist for a month. So it's not, I'm not 3 or more months. So this ain't chronic, and this is about to feel a lot better. It's just I've been, having to flex it and bend into the pain, etc. I digress. But yeah, so that's the definition of chronic pain, and I'm going to show you. I want to tie that in, but I wanted to give the respect to people who are in chronic pain, because as I talk about pain with my acronym, People Anchored in Negativity, I want to make sure that we see that we'll be able to laugh about that and talk about some issues at that. But chronic pain itself is no laughing matter. So pray for those people who are in chronic pain, and you may know someone or you may be in it as well. So just want to let you know that hang in there, it's going to be okay. One of the things that the reason we're discussing it in my organization is because we're talking about how laughter is one of the medicines, the modalities of handling that pain and easing that burden on yourself. But meanwhile, the discussion today, moving it over to me, is again pain. P-A-I-N-E. P-A-I-N. People anchored in negativity. Let's look at the definition, some of the synonyms for anchor. Anchor is anchor. We think of an anchor in the ship where it's stops the ship from going forward and it stops you. But I also want to say that anchor, and in this case, I'm talking about belief. See, people anchored in negativity. They believe. When you're anchored in something, it means that you believe in it. It's like a passion of yours. And this is, I'm standing on this. Yeah, I'm anchored in it, which also then means that you are empowered by this thing and you're supported and steeped in this belief. I'm anchored by this belief. So imagine someone who's anchored in negativity. They feel good actually about being negative. It's like, it's just a cult. It's a belief for them. Hey, Kevin, so they are anchored in the negativity. Negativity gets them through the day. And that's interesting because I what I'm saying there is, let's look at what's at play with the people who are feeling anchored by negativity, who feel that they are supported, they're steeped, they're passionate. The truth is, some of them almost don't realize just how negative they are, but y'all are just thumbs up and it's flashing away. I guess you know someone, huh? But we're about to take care of that person, because let's look at some of the things that play for those people. They could have a self-esteem issue. See, someone who is consistently negative, it could be a signal of them having a self-esteem issue, not feeling good about themselves. So therefore, they transmit that non-good feeling onto other people. I want to add them all up. Depression. Someone who's depressed could be someone who is anchored in negativity because they feel that they're in a cycle of depression that they can't get out of, and they become to where they're accustomed to it. And that's the funny thing, is that one of my synonyms that I wrote down is that it could be a comfort zone. See, sometimes this is where I am works for me. So sometimes you have to feel for people who are negative, because maybe it's part of a depression that they're going through. It's a psychological ailment, and that connects to the fact of their socialization. Because hey, now sometimes you can be socialized to be negative by your surroundings, where everybody around you, it's just like when you're growing up and in quote unquote poverty, and people, you're never going to make it to be anything, and your mother was this way, your father was this way, and so you constantly start to hear that, and you become negative because that's what you've been socialized to be negative, and to almost not believe in yourself. And so now let's add two other factors to that. Trust. Trust is a big contributor to negativity, because if I've been socialized to not believe in myself, now I have trust issues with someone who wants, someone that I did trust and they betrayed me. So now when I meet someone else who reminds me of that person, well, I get negative as a way of stopping that person from doing to me what the other person did to me. So a trust issue can make me negative. And then jealousy, which is the bigger one that most of us are familiar with, that someone who's negative is potentially just jealous of us. So it's easier for them to try to derail everything that we say or do because they can't do it. And the truth is, again, this is someone that we can almost feel for, because that jealousy is something that can be quote unquote cured, because it connects to some of the other issues. It connects to the trust. Maybe I'm jealous, because I trusted someone before and they they betrayed my trust. And so now they've given something to you, and by them giving it to you, then they took it from me. See, so it's not always necessarily that that person is such a bad person. Sometimes we get pushed into being negative because we start to believe in what negativity is doing in our lives. So now we can go back and touch on all of those little symptoms that I talked about. Our self-esteem. See, if I don't feel good enough about myself, I'll believe someone who tells me that I have no value and that I'm worthless. And so as I believe that person, I become comfortable in not getting what I deserve because I don't understand what my value is. So therefore, I can accept how you devalue me as my norm. And another thing that I like to look at when we talk about the comfort zone of someone being steeped in negativity, why does it make you comfortable? It's comfortable for me to be just be negative because this is where I function, and I've got my walls of security. If you can't get to me because I'm negative, well, now what happens is I have to maybe now relate that to responsibility. See, maybe it's if my staying comfortable with being negative takes me out of the realm of having to be responsible for my actions. It takes me out of the running for being chosen to do something. So I don't have to be responsible when I'm negative. I can just, people say, oh, well, he's negative, let's not ask him. He's negative, let's not do that. And so now it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is also why it becomes a comfort zone, because we start to exclude the person based on how we decided that they're negative. See, so there's just a lot of stuff going on with someone who's anchored in negativity. And the truth is, even as we make that pain, that they may be a pain to us, they are hurting. They are hurting. And so, one of the things I like to say is, we have to remember that like attracts like. And, when people say, I want to get all the negative people out of my life, bulletin, you can't. You can't get the negative people out of your life. But what you can do is be the positive person in your life. Because what I do is I invite the negative people in because I can out-positive the negative person, especially one-on-one. It's harder to out-positive the negative people when they're in a group. Because the thing is, you have to realize it's just like how people like to talk against our children. But what you have to realize with a child is that a child is in school. And this can also connect to bullying. A child is in school, what, 7 hours? I don't lost track how long we go to school. We go to school, let's say, so 8 to 3, 7 hours, whatever. That's only 7 hours out of 24 hours in a day. So they are more exposed to, now we can go back to that socialization, they're more exposed to the people in their neighborhood than they are to the good role models and the teachers in their school. So it's a tough hump for the teachers as well. Because I've got 7 hours, or if I'm just your teacher for one class, and maybe not that class is not every day, I'm in your life for 3 hours a week versus someone who's in your life 24 hours a day. That's a hard hump for me as a teacher to have to get over. So let's respect our teachers as well. Parents, don't just vilify the teachers automatically. Recognize that they are people too, and you don't know what's going on in their life. I think I'll dedicate another session to teachers. So let's stay back on recognizing again that sometimes that the pain is a reflective emotion that people are emoting, a reflective reaction that people are emoting because they've been hurt. So now being negative becomes their security blanket or their protection. What I did, I looked at the other day, I posted a meme and I loved it, and as how I can use it today. So I have to learn how to out-positive them. Yeah, you do, Royce. You have to learn how to out-positive them. P.S. by the way, with guidelines. In other words, you don't get so caught up in out-positiving someone that you become an enabler of their negativity. You've got to say, you know me, I am a big promoter and believer. I anchored in the belief that you got to cut people loose. You cannot take everyone with you. Some people, it's just like when Jesus came, he said to people, I didn't come for everyone. And when there's a call to an altar call at a church, they say, will you come? They don't say, you better get your butt up here and be saved because this is what you need to believe. No, I say, will you come? Is there one? Is there someone? So, all of those things come into play. But you have to be the positive person. And a lot of times, by you being positive, you'll be surprised and you'll love it how you can see another person who's negative. They may just come down, or what really happens is they realize they can't be negative around you. They may still stay who they are, but when they come with you, they start something and you put it in check, and then they actually are happy because that goes back to what I'm talking about in terms of responsibility. You've just taken the responsibility off of their hands for them needing to have that fence up, that security against being hurt. So it's a beautiful thing, and it's a wonderful thing how we have to look at, and again, that's just how much power we have. When we take responsibility for who we are, we can make someone else benefit. And that's, and surprisingly, not surprisingly, that's what I end up saying in this post that I did the other day. So let me read that and bring that into the conversation. But thank you, Royce, for that commercial. So I posted the other day, and it said, people will challenge your blessing, question your motives, and expect you to comply. You don't have to be right. You have to believe. You didn't get here and where you are today without some faith, sacrifice, and grit. Yet there's always someone who wants you to do things their way or doesn't appreciate that you did it without them. In fact, 2 Kings 18 and 19 says, what are you trusting in that makes you so confident? What are you trusting in that makes you so confident? See, when you have to answer that question, trust your track record. Don't lose sight of the fact that you're doing things your way, even when you have to use someone else's resources. When you believe in yourself, you actually make everyone's blessing clearer and eventually. So what I'm saying there is that when you believe in yourself, when you're anchored in your belief, that that's what makes someone else just question, how can you be so positive about this? And that can cause them to pause and think about, well, why am I so negative about it? Maybe I need to look at another side of the coin. That's, Royce, where you can out positive them by you kind of mitigate their negativity by showing them another option. Now they're an adult. Once they see the option that you show them and they choose not to accept it, you move on. That's what I'm saying. You have to have a safe word where you say, you know what, I've tried long enough with this person. I'm going to let them still be who they are, but they switch their position in my life. I've got negative people in my life, but I don't invite them to keep their negativity in my space. When there are people, when I see them calling, thank you, caller ID. When I see that person calling, I don't say, oh God, here's this person, and then switch my whole disposition and answer. I say, I don't want that negativity in my space right now. I'll call them back. I don't answer the phone. So now that doesn't mean that just because I didn't answer your call, it means that you're a negative person and I don't want to talk to you. But that's what you have to realize that you have to do. You can't invite negative spirits into your life. When you see that the call is coming from someone who you don't particularly want to deal with right now, let it go to voicemail. You can talk to them later. That's just the way it goes. And that's why that last line it says, when you believe in yourself, you actually make everyone's blessing clearer eventually. Why? Because when I show that this is who I really am, now someone can see that, well, you know what? I'll keep Sporty in my life. And maybe they see my call ID. I don't want to feel positive right now. I'm not going to take his call. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the way it goes. Let me see what Jane said. Amen. You got to go with Jackie Wilson's song. You got to stop dogging me down, but you say stop dragging me down. That's right. Yeah, you can't let people drag you down, but guess what? You can't stop them from dragging you down. What you can stop is them keeping you down. Hey, Marty. So don't let people keep you down, even when they drag you down. And because the thing is, there's always not necessarily something wrong with being down. By the way, when you get knocked down, sometimes you don't need to jump right back up. Sometimes when you get knocked down, stay down. Stay down and take a look at the scenery from another spot so that you can say, well, how did I get here? So that when I stand up, I can remain standing. If you hop back up sometimes, you get knocked right back down. Think about a boxer. Why they get a 10 count or really an 8 count? See, when you get knocked down, if you get up too quick, you're not ready to get back in the fight. The ref grabs your hands and see if you still got power in your hands, and you got enough power to do this. But then when the boxer comes back at you, you ain't got enough power to block. And then you get knocked back down again, and now you may be in a concussion. So sometimes, you got an 8 count. I know they say 10 and you're knocked out, but you get a fair count up to 8. 9, 10 is one number, right? They go 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, but when you get knocked down, and people will knock you down, stay down there. Check it out. How'd that person knock me down? What did I do to allow that person to knock me down? Because it wasn't the person. It was you, okay? So let me see what other questions I got before I wrap this whole thing up, okay? I just shared this message. Oh, good, thank you. I'm glad to know that. True indeed. How can I be so positive? With a positive attitude, you and I find more opportunities. Yep, right. A positive attitude will find you more opportunities. And P.S., by the way, some of those opportunities will still be with negative people because they want positivity. People want you to bring in your spirit, but you have to understand your spirit and keep finding ways to share it. Remember, like attracts like. Opposites don't attract. Like attracts like. So you be one of the positive spirits. More positive spirits will come to you, and now, you have a conglomerate of positivity that will keep some negativity out. I like the idea of helping others see their own gifts. Yes, and that's what my whole company name, why I chose my company name, The Top Line. And I say that the top line is how I feel affects other people. In other words, each of us has to have a certain feeling. If you look at my logo, you'll see it's a heart, but it's 2 pieces. They're puzzle pieces. We all come together, but you have to feel good about you, because that will affect how I feel about me, and vice versa, and so on and so on. Everybody is an important piece of the puzzle. Okay, all right, Marty, thank you. Driver charter bus today, good for you, thank you. And a busload of people is a busload of spirits. Okay, but we all connect, and when we feel good about who we are, we help someone feel good about who they are. Because if you got, again, let's go back to the analogy about school. You can be you can give a positive message to your students and the people around you, but for X amount of hours. Once they leave you, they've got to walk through, even think about how kids get to school. They got to walk through negativity. Maybe they had to get up in a household that wasn't positive, and going to school is their respite. Maybe getting to school is, I got to get to school so I can get some positivity, because I'm living in a space that's negative for who I am. Haven't you always done that? Thank you, Marty. Amen to you too. And so sometimes that's where we've got to look at our judgment, our penchant to be judgmental and think someone else is divergent, when in fact they've done all they could to get away from where they are. You just never know. Compassion is like wisdom, it's in retrospect. So I don't say to you that every single moment you have to have this great attitude of loving people and bringing them in. That's a very hard thing to do. I have a difficult time with it, because and I think that it opens you up for different types of pain and anxiety. I don't know about that, but I'm just saying I don't think that we have to have a pie in the sky attitude and think, oh, everything is going to be good. No, things are tough. Life is tough, but learn to play. That's what we do at AATH, and so if I bring this all together, which is what I definitely want to do, and then we'll get some comments for follow up, is recognize that when I go back to talking about chronic pain, which affects 1 in 5 people. And chronic pain, it's more than diabetes, coronary heart disease, and cancer added together. It's 3 months or more of experiencing the same pain, 3 months or more beyond the expected recovery period. That's chronic pain. But it can be cured, or one of the modalities of the cure is laughter. And likewise, laughter will walk into helping these people who are pained because they're anchored in negativity. You know, you've got to have that right spirit of being able to laugh off somebody else's ignorance. And also, for instance, I was, and not connecting this to ignorance, but having the right attitude and creating your atmosphere. I was in the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library yesterday doing a live broadcast, and an older guy and his wife were walking past and leaving, and they had interacted with us smiling. And so as he was leaving, he said, "I'm leaving now," and he acted like he was stealing books or something, right? He said, "Are they going to frisk me?" You know, because there's a metal detector at the library entrance, because it's in an area where, you know, just downtown, you know, a lot of homelessness and a lot of vagrancy is down there as well. So that it's one of the, that's our society now. But he made a joke. He said, are they going to frisk me when to get out? And I said to him, I said, no, don't worry, you'll be fine. When the metal detector goes off, we'll just knock you down and lock you up. And so he laughed. He said, well, no, they won't be able to do that because I'm going to run. And I said to him, I said, are you going to be able to run? Ben Gay is always looking for sponsorships. And we laughed. Now, see, you know, somebody says, how can you get away with saying these things? Because I say it in the right tone. I allow people to know, look, we can have a joke. It was a joke about his age that didn't offend him. And, you know, and so that's the type of thing that you learn to do when you have a positive spirit. Since he knew that I was not coming from a negative place, you know, and you know, and he felt that your communication, 90% of your communication is nonverbal. 58, I lost my, 55% of your communication is how you look, 38% how you sound, your tone, and only 7% the words that you use. So, you know, you can communicate positivity to people through your actions. Your nonverbal communication is the key. So let's remember that chronic pain is something that people have to focus on fighting. And so pray for them. And if you are in any, you can help them. Hey, Barbara Jackson. Hey, Jeanette. But laughter is one of the modalities, and you can also turn a negative person around through your laughter and your good spirit. So know who you are. Like attracts like. Attract good people to you. Hey, Jackie, coming in. And so as you do that, you will find that the pain, the people anchored in negativity, are happy to have you in their life because you allow them to, as they say, when it's time for the boat to take off, up, release the anchors, up, you know, pull up the anchors and let me float through this life and find more joy in being who I am. If there's ever a topic you want me to discuss, always feel free to put it in the comments and I'll look to it. I definitely am inspired from talking today to dedicating a session on teachers and educators, because we've really got to find ways to partner with them and help them raise our children, because, you know, that's what they're there to do. They're a resource for helping you raise your children. And Haas, I'll come back. I haven't forgotten that I did forget what it was I wanted to say about speaking to that professor. But Royce, it's not a coincidence that I heard this message. Thank you. Thanks for your advice and good work. It's never a coincidence, and that's got to be the truth that we all need to know. There are no coincidences. One thing I did say to this professor last night is I said to him, one of the things I used to say in my life skills class, the game is always being played. You cannot not play the game and expect results. You cannot play the game from the stands. You have to get on the field. You have to get on the court. You have to get in the game because the game is being played. So keep your calm wits about yourself and recognize that you have to play the game so that you can have your success. And I know that was one of the things he and I were talking about in terms of saying, well, this generation, this and that. I said, I don't care about the generation. They have to play our game to get in. So we are the ones who are hiring them. Stop feeding into how they say, well, our generation doesn't do this. Well, then your generation can't get on the field. They have to learn to be what I call bi-gamer, like bilingual. They have to be bi-gamer. They have to be able to play their game, but they've got to play our game so they can get the connection. And we've got to enjoy sharing that. See, don't let us be jealous. I look forward to someone younger moving into my spot. If I can teach them how to use my language and their language, that's what's going to make them more successful as well. So again, every comment leads to another comment, and we could go on and on. But I thank you for giving me your 30 minutes today. I look forward to ongoing conversations with you here on Facebook Live and everywhere. And I'll see you next week on Glue Wednesday, where we remember that life is about going from one puzzle to the next. You're either a small, medium, or large piece of every puzzle in each business, social, or family relationship in your life. And no matter what puzzle piece size you see yourself as, small, medium, or large, without you, the puzzle is incomplete. Thank you for being a part of my puzzle. God bless you, and Glue, keep it together, because we never need to worry about getting on. Ciao.